Question: what is evil? In our last presentation, we covered the question, where did evil come from and why did Adam and Eve make the first choice to disobey God? This presentation, what we're going to do is expand on that and ask the question, what is evil exactly? What is this thing? If you look at the newspapers, you turn on your TV and you turn on your radio, you know and you can see evil everywhere. Is evil then an entity, a thing that exists in and of itself outside of the free will of human being? Well, the scripture clearly states that God created everything. We saw in John chapter 1, verse 1 to 3, and Colossians chapter 1, 15 to 17. It does say God created everything and everything was good. And if we accept that evil is a reality, how can we say that God created evil? And that was covered in the last presentation. Well, the answer lies in the fact that evil is not a thing or a substance or an entity to be created. So you can say that it's not created. Rather, evil is the corruption of a good thing, or it's a privation of good. And goodness is, in fact, what's made by God. Now, let's explain this a little bit further. Let's go back to Genesis. Let's go back to our first fathers or our first parent. God made humans and it was good. This repeated multiple times in Genesis 1. It keeps saying it's good, it's good, it's good. And he gave humans, as we saw in the last presentation, the power of free will, the choice, if you like. And that was good as well. But what this means that God gave Adam and Eve the choice to believe he was the arbiter of all right and wrong, and that he knew what was best for them, and he being God knew what was best for them, when he said not to do certain things and not to eat a certain fruit. And that instruction and that belief was also good. But when the first humans believed, God did not know what was best for them. In other words, the first human thought they knew better than God. That was a corruption of a particularly good thing. That was when evil was born. So evil, as I said previously, is not a substance or an entity, but a corruption of a good thing, a privation of good, an absence of good, if you like. Well, let's look at an example. If you look at a wonderful new car and then suddenly you see a spot of rust on one of the panels, that rust is a privation of the wonderful part of that wonderful new car. It's an absence of that good car. Rust in itself shows that the good car has been corrupted, or that part of the panel has been corrupted. What this means that evil is a parasitic upon good. It depends on good being there. The rust on this car that I talked about would not have and could not happen if the good panel wasn't there. In other words, in short, evil depends on the existence of good. In a way, good does not depend on evil. I mean, when you buy a brand new car, there is no rust on the brand new car. The brand new car exists on itself. Rust has to exist on top of the brand new car. When you take the newness of the car out, rust exists. So rust cannot exist without the good car. Evil cannot exist without goodness. Well, to put it in the most simplistic way, good can exist by itself and evil cannot exist by itself. A completely rusted car, where there is no new car anymore, all the goodness is gone. It's not rust anymore, it's a pile of green and black gunk on the ground. It doesn't exist anymore. The existence of evil requires and depends on that the good be previously in existence. So, evil become a reality when there is a rejection of what God said was true and worthy of obedience. And evil become a reality when an act in opposition to his command is been made. So as soon as Adam and Eve decided that they know better, decided that they're going to take on the sovereignty of right and wrong on themselves, evil existed. I put it in another way. God wanted humans to obey and trust him. In fact, he designed all of us to live fulfilled and meaningful lives by choosing the right thing, by choosing to worship him and live in a right relationship with him. And when the choice was made to cease trusting in God and trust in the human self, evil became a reality.